I can't believe how cute this is. That is the tawny scrawny lion. And the octopus. Oh, I love the octopus. Curious George. Oh, this is too much. Tacos. And they're next to fish. I wonder if they're fish tacos. I love fish tacos. Hi. I was just checking out this I Spy Quilt. You've heard of I Spy Quilts, right? You haven't? Well, you're gonna love them. They are so cool. And that's what we're gonna do today. Hi, I'm Di with Sister Chicks Quilting, and welcome to my channel. Like I said before, I'm going to be working on an I Spy quilt today. If you don't know what that is, stick with me. It's a really, really fun quilt. You're going to love it. But first, I wanted to give a shout out to Cody Bromley. He's a quilter from Florida, and he is sending me his quilt that he made for his grandma, and I'm going to quilt it for him. Cody, I can't wait to get your quilt. I know it's just going to be fantastic. I've also had several people ask how they can support my channel. I like to put everything out there for you. I do it at no charge, but if you would like to support my channel, I did go ahead and sign up for an app called Buy Me a Cup of Coffee. Only I don't drink coffee, but you can buy me a cup of herb tea. The link for Buy Me a Cup of Herb Tea is below in the description box. I would like to thank Janet Mickelwicks and Patty Vaughn who bought me a cup of herb tea. Thank you. I appreciate it. I learned about I Spy Quilts from a customer by the name of Holly Stevenson. She's such a beautiful woman. She's a nurse. Does that tell you what kind of a woman she is? Nurses, big hearts. And they save people's lives. She always makes I Spy quilts, and they are absolutely fun to look at. I asked her if I could use her quilts in my video, and she lamented that they weren't perfect. In our conversation that we were texting back and forth, she wrote this. I wanted to read it to you. While I'm reading it, I'm going to put her picture up so you can see Holly. She says, "My quilts are far from perfect, but that's not my goal with sewing and quilting right now. It's fun and therapy to bring a smile to those I love. At different times, I've been more of a perfectionist and probably will in the future, but I don't have the bandwidth for perfection right now, so I have just embraced it." Isn't that the coolest? I love her attitude about quilting, and I want to pass it on to all of you because we get too hard on ourselves, don't we? Okay, let's get on to these quilts. My first thought when I said to Holly, I want to make an I Spy quilt for my daughter Michelle who loves it. Where do you get all that cool fabric? Guess what she sent me? A pile of cool fabric. I was going to say these are all juvenile. Check out the boombox. As I was finishing up a project the other day, I had some leftover fabric and I cut it into 5-inch squares. Isn't that cute? Let me show you another place to get the fabric. And this is if you don't have a huge stash. I walked into a fun quilt store the other day. Right by the register, they had this. Isn't that cool? And this was in the same line, the planets. So there's a black, there's a blue, and look at this one. I asked if they would sell me 10 inches. They go, you know what, if it's in our computer, we'll do it. And it was, and they did. that was just what I had on my shelf. It's not going to be hard to go through your fabric and find something. Then, oh my gosh, then Holly sent me some links. Did you know that there are sellers out there on Etsy? And shop around because everybody has different prices, and they actually sell stacks of 5-inch squares, like 50 to 100 of low volume prints or of others for a pretty affordable price. I will put a couple of links to those Etsy shops in my description below, but I don't think you're going to have a problem finding where to get your fabric. Good morning. I was awake last night cutting 5-inch squares out of all that fabric I showed you. I have this much left to cut. I have my work cut out for me, but that's okay. We're going to have a finished quilt by the end of this video. My friend Holly sent me a few low volume prints. Well, I have a stack of 5-inch squares already cut up, and about this many of them were low volume, and I cut these. So I got this to work with. And this is about the size of the stack that Holly sent me. And this is what I cut last night. Cool. I'm excited. This is the layout that I chose. And it's going to be a diagonal rainbow with a low volume every other row. Sounds kind of tricky, but it's not. I want to show you how I mark the blocks so I can pick up this entire top row, take it to my machine, and sew it perfectly without any mistake. I want to point out that this section, this piece, flips right sides onto this piece. And I have 2 white pins. Notice they're going the same way. Then this section is going to flip right sides together here. And these won't get sewn the first time around. They have 2 orange pins in them. There's 2 blue pins, skip a seam, 2 pink pins, so forth and so on. So notice the pins are both going the same direction. That's key. This is my stack of blocks, and they're sewn on that side that I took to the sewing machine. And here is what happens when you open them up. So it's sewn on that side. There's a seam. And if you take a look, you just match up the pins. So here's the white pins matched up. Here's the orange pins matched up. Then you sew them together. Since I have been doing this method, double pin method is what I call it, I have never made a mistake. I better get back to sewing this row. I've got some quilts to show you. What do you think of this layout? I think it's really a lot of fun. Notice she has the stripes going down, or if you flip it, they're going across. Either way, it goes from pink, red, orange, yellow, green, light blue, dark blue, a black. I just think this is so creative. I quilted it. You'll see what's on the other side of this quilt. But I quilted it in yellow cuddle with circles. They are so much fun. I'm telling you, when Michelle and I had these on the long arm, we just stood there and had to watch everything because we're like, oh, look at that. No, look at this. No, look at this. Let's take a look at the second quilt. This is the layout that I had on my design wall, which I am going to borrow from Holly. I think these quilts are an absolute blast. And on the back of this one, she has aqua cuddle. Here is yet another layout. I mean, it's square, so you can do whatever you want. She let her 1-year-old son, Callum, pick out the colors that he wanted in his quilt. So this is his drag around the house quilt. Aren't these layouts the most fun ever? Now, you don't have to use them. You can lay your quilt out however you want. You don't have to use low volume. I just happen to be kind of a low volume freak and love, love, love it. You could do 9 patches. There's just so many options out there. And I think the options are as endless as there are quilters out there. I just went through my fat quarters and sliced them up. I had some yardage that I sliced up. Here's a thought. If you slice up a 5-inch square off of the width of the fabric and then cut it into 5-inch charms, you're going to have 9 blocks. So start a swap with your friends because you only need 2. You're going to end up with a really fun pile of collectibles for your I Spy quilt. I have just fallen in love with I Spy quilts. Thanks, Holly, for helping me do that. I want to say, Rose Ambrose, you know who's invited to my quilt retreats? All of you. Yeah, everybody. Anybody that can make it to Albion, Idaho next spring is welcome to come to my retreat. I'm going to open registration and announce it towards the end of June. So look for it then. I'll keep you informed. And then I want to say to Cynthia Moon, your comment about the fun box cracked me up. I laughed out loud over that. Thanks. I always love a good chuckle. If you want to see another great video, check this one out. I picked it just for you. I think you're really going to like it. And until then, I'll see you next week. Bye.